Is Geno Smith a one-hit wonder, or is this the expectation now?
Is Geno Smith a one-hit wonder?
Be careful how you answer this, my friend.
It's a little bit funny to me because everybody's looking to say he's going to regress the mean. He's 33 years old, a career backup, and let's be honest, we don't know. There's fog of war with Geno Smith. But it wasn't just last year that Geno played well. When Russell Wilson got hurt in 2021, he stepped in 3 starts. And while the Seahawks were not winning a whole lot of games, he completed his passes. He was zipping shots down the field. And Geno Smith has the entire skill set. He has the physical makeup, and he has the experience. And I've said this a million times, and the fact people still don't talk about it. When you sit behind 3 different Hall of Fame worthy quarterbacks, Hall of Fame caliber, and Eli Manning, Phillip Rivers, and then Russell Wilson, you get to learn from their habits every single day. You look at the Jets, meanwhile. All the Jets have done is ruin one young quarterback after another. In fact, when was the last time the Jets had a good defense? When was the last time the Jets had a good offense? I don't think I was born yet.
Ryan Fitzpatrick with Eric Decker and Brandon Marshall.
In 2016, they had 1 year and they still missed the playoffs, right?
Yeah, I think
but
they would kind of stick from this, yeah.
You look at the Jets organization and you see nothing but dysfunction. You then look at Geno Smith, who was a legitimate MVP candidate the first half of last year. He was the galvanizing force as a leader and the quarterback under center who said, everybody thinks I'm the worst starting quarterback in the NFL. In fact, they think Drew Lock should be starting. Okay, I'm going to show you something. I'm going to lead the NFL in completion percentage. I'm going to throw for 252 yards per game. For the people that love the TD interception ratio, he had 30 TDs. The Seahawks offense, meanwhile, was one of the better units in the game. Because of him, top 10 in scoring, they won 9 games, and everyone wants to talk about, hey, look, the Seahawks aren't on the 49ers level. Well, when they played them in the first round of the playoffs, they were beating them in the first half. Then the 49ers flipped the switch real damn quick. But in that game, I came away with the takeaway. Geno Smith, against high-level defenses, not only holds his own, he can beat them. He had 2 turnovers in that game. He had a fumble lost. It wasn't necessarily his best game of the year, and he slightly took a step back in the second half. But to say that he's not going to continue getting better after a full year for the first time starting with real stability, I think is unfair to him because you've seen for a year and a half now, this guy got the second chance that many quarterbacks don't. And all that he's done with it is made the most. So, yeah, man, I think this is just the beginning. He's 32 years old. We've seen quarterbacks for years play up until they're 40. I don't know why he can't have a Kurt Warner, Warren Moon type renaissance. And the skill set's always been there from West Virginia. It always has been. It was a matter of finding the right opportunity and the right organization. What do you know? He got exactly that the last couple of years.
Listen, I feel like I come across as a hater when I talk about the Seahawks. I am not a hater. It's an incredible story of Geno Smith, him coming in there, starting as a quarterback, especially preseason. I wanted Drew Lock to start. I was one of those people. I don't know if you're just taking a shot at me or everybody else.
I'm taking a shot, yeah.
But I wanted Drew Lock to start, and it's fair. He's a younger quarterback. I wanted to see what his potential was. Geno maximized his potential there, and then that was incredible. But, John, you sit here, and I meant to touch on this when you were talking basketball. You were praising Lauri Markkanen after one great season.
Right.
But we haven't seen that before out of him. Geno Smith, we haven't seen this before. So there is nothing for me to sit here and be like, okay, like Brandon said, this is the expectation now. I'm not expecting Geno Smith to throw 30 touchdowns and 8 interceptions. No, I'm not. Because I'm sitting here looking at a 32, 33-year-old quarterback that is a career backup because that is what he is. He is a career backup for a reason. If Russell Wilson was still in Seattle, what would Geno be doing?
He wouldn't get his
backing up for another team. He would not be a starter for another team. And then Seattle goes out here after one fantastic year and gives him a boatload of money to be their starting quarterback for the next 3-4 years. This is the same team that was looking at Anthony Richardson in the draft. Why? Because they know he's an older quarterback. He is a career backup, and he is not your future. You have receivers like Lockett. You have receivers like Metcalf. You got up-and-coming running backs. You want a quarterback that's going to stick around and grow with them. You do not want a 32, 33-year-old quarterback that you're going into next year and having questions about. And I guarantee you that there are people in the front office in Seattle that are also having the same question. This guy is 33 years old and has had one good season.
He had 2 good seasons because when Russell Wilson got hurt in 2021, he had 4 good games as a backup that stepped in. And here's the thing, Justin. You said they paid him a boatload of money. They gave him $40 million guaranteed. That's barely more than what Jimmy Garoppolo got. Garoppolo, look what he did in San Francisco. He was a good
went to the Super Bowl
quarterback. It wasn't because of him.
He went to the Super Bowl.
Geno Smith is a much better quarterback than Jimmy Garoppolo. He is a better thrower of the football with more velocity and better accuracy. He's honestly maybe a better decision maker too. He's got better athleticism and movement within the pocket, and he's got a little more poise with all that lack of experience you alluded to. So when I look at the quarterbacks in the NFL, I already think Geno Smith is one of the better ones in the league. You made the Lauri Markkanen point. Bless you, Brandon. Lauri Markkanen in his second season averaged 19 points per game on good efficiency, but he was in Chicago with terrible coaching. Geno Smith at West Virginia was a really good quarterback prospect that went to the absolute worst team. Wouldn't you agree the Jets were what is the worst team in the NFL developing quarterbacks? What is it?
That is the
Jets. It's the New York Jets. Okay. So now Geno Smith got to sit behind 3 great quarterbacks. What do you think that does for him when he gets that new opportunity and he shows out big time for a year and a half? What does that mean to you?
Listen, we've seen many quarterbacks that have sat behind legends and turned into nothing. And that doesn't mean anything to me. He just, like I said, he maximized his potential. He had DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett, Noah Fant on his offense. He had an explosive-ass offense. Now, you start piecing those pieces away and you start actually putting some adversity in front of him, what's going to happen?
Well, you know what, Justin, what's so funny about this? Steve Young was the first overall pick in 1985. His first 2 years in Tampa Bay, he won 3 games. And he lost 16. He was one of the worst quarterbacks in the NFL. Mm-hmm. So what did he do? He sat behind Joe Montana for not 1, not 2, not 3, but 4 years. When Steve Young got that next opportunity, he was out. 30 years old. And you want to know what he did at 31? He won MVP in his 4th year starting. You want to know what he did at 33? He won another MVP.
So Geno Smith is Steve Young.
No, but you've seen in the past different
Jerry Rice was his receiver.
Right. But you just pointed out before, Geno Smith has an excellent receiving core. You add in Jackson Smith and Jigma, might be a top 3 slot receiver in the NFL day one, right? So, of course, you're not going to be Steve Young because Steve Young was a one-of-a-kind prospect. Is why he was taken with the first overall pick. But you have seen multiple different quarterbacks in the past from multiple different franchises have things go poorly in their first couple of years. But like anything else in life, whether you're podcasting, you're playing baseball, you're playing basketball, any sport, when you get the right opportunity in the right situation, bad players, people that are bad at their jobs inherently start to develop. Geno Smith never developed in New York. Steve Young didn't develop up until he got his new starting opportunity at 30. But what if people said, you know what? After Steve Young's first year in San Francisco, he's no Joe Montana. I mean, obviously he's doing well because they've got Jerry Rice. I mean, he only went 5-5 his first year starting. They won 10-6. He only got in there because Montana was old and injured. He's not the franchise guy. We saw him in Tampa Bay stink it up. 1 good year as a backup doesn't mean anything. But then you're missing out on that opportunity to see on the other side what he could have been. And that was MVP, right? So you have to let it play out with Geno Smith to at least let him realize his full potential. Because you've seen now, back 25 years ago, you got to 30 years old and you're a quarterback, you were pressing retirement. But now in the NFL, when you're 40 years old, we see guys all the time play into their 40s. Aaron Rodgers turns 40 this year. So I think it's very unfair that you pick Geno Smith as you're a native New Yorker, and you say, you know what, I'm not going to buy in because he's a career backup. But you've seen multiple times in the past. Kurt Warner is a prime example too, where he had that second opportunity after backing up Eli Manning, ironically. And what did he do? He went to the Super Bowl with the Cardinals. It was about 9 years after he won a Super Bowl with the Rams.
Yeah, but he was already a seasoned vet that won a Super Bowl and showed that he can. So, you know what, John, that was a beautiful story. And for anybody that's looking for motivation, you can listen to John, please, because that was very motivational. But I'm sorry. I'm still not going to budge. So I have a question for the two of you guys. John goes on this rant about the Seahawks, and Brandon, we have yet to hear your opinion on Geno. But I want to ask this question. Now, your expectations for Geno Smith and these Seahawks, how much better is San Francisco compared to them? And can Seattle actually surpass them this season?
Can Seattle surpass San Francisco? No. I think San Francisco's defense is going to be the biggest brick wall for Seattle. I don't see Geno being able to conquer that monster in San Francisco. In terms of Geno, just quickly, and then I'll pass it over to John. I think you guys are, first off, I think John's a little bit, he's too far over here, and Justin's too far over here. Geno is what Geno is. He's a bridge quarterback who is obviously going to be the quarterback for the Seattle Seahawks for the next couple of years until they find a quarterback or draft a quarterback in the first or second round to develop that guy. I highly doubt Geno's going to be the starting quarterback of the Seattle Seahawks when he's 38 years old. He will be long gone from the Seattle Seahawks. Maybe he'll be a starting quarterback for another team that's quarterback is injured because he's a veteran backup. But that's where I come from in terms of Geno.
I don't see where you guys are coming from, because when I watched Geno Smith play last year, I felt like the only shortcoming in his game was inconsistent decision making, which oftentimes is a matter of getting more experience with receivers so you get your timing down pat. Everything else he brought to the table was what made him a potential first-round pick back in 2013. So I understand you think he's a bridge quarterback, but he was a bridge quarterback in the MVP discussion. He was a bridge quarterback that showed high-level arm talent, good athleticism, and a confidence to say, F you, I'm going to zip this ball into a tight window while I'm running on the move to my left side. I mean, the level of throws, the difficulty in them was pretty incredible. He was one of, if not the most accurate quarterback in the league. And that's extending beyond just completion percentage. So quite clearly, there's something here if he continues to get better. So I get it. You think I'm sipping the funny stuff, but I think really I'm open to the possibility of Geno continuing to build off last year.
What's the Seahawks ceiling then?
If
you invest in him.
I definitely think they're going to be a playoff team this year. And when I look at the NFC, you've got Philly, San Francisco, and Dallas. The Seahawks are a clear fourth best team to me. More proven coaching and a better defense in the lines. Tariq Woolen had the offseason surgery, but you had Devon Witherspoon. He was a top 5 pick for a reason. But they can easily win this division because the 49ers can easily be ravaged by injuries. I would give San Francisco a good 67, 68, 69, like an almost 70% chance that they win it. But I don't know what you're laughing at. The Seattle Seahawks, though, they have a good 30% chance, I would say. And I think if a couple things bounce their way, this is a team that could be playing the NFC Championship game. I thought that a year ago, and I still think it now. But a lot of it, too, is the development of their 2 young tackles, because you've got 2 guys coming off the rookie seasons. They need to continue getting better. And once they do, now it becomes a lot more natural to run the football in the Eagles or the Cowboys. Once they get there, then we're talking about a team that can really be a true contender.